Hey, what's going on, guys? Carter here with Edge Mindset. We're back in Strider 101 discussion with this double gunner grip knife right here. Before I send this back to its owner, I wanted to point out something interesting about this knife. So as you can see, it's 100% dead mint and pristine, and that's what makes this next thing kind of interesting. If you look at the thumb studs here, or the stop pins, you may notice that this one on the left looks a little bit bigger than the one on the right. And that is because it is. And you can see on this side how it doesn't quite make contact, whereas it does on this side. Now, why is that? That is because something was incorrect with this lock and it was too late. And so to fix that, they stepped up this side of the stop pin. That in turn makes the blade sit forward a little bit more, which pushes this lock face down just a little bit, and it increases the engagement of that lock. Now that in and of itself isn't that crazy. You'll see a lot of old school Striders that have this because they've been used hard and they go back in because they're kind of worn out. This one's interesting because it's dead mint. So clearly this thing has not been used hard. This lock has not worn out from being opened a ton or from doing hard things with the knife. More than likely, this was a manufacturing defect where they ground this lock face a little too high, or this is sitting too low. I mean, there's a lot of different reasons on how this could happen. And they noticed the problem. They stepped up this stop pin here. Now, this may have actually been done before this knife ever left the shop, or it may have made it into somebody's hands. They said, hey, this lockup is too late for me, because it could be that the lockup was just too far over for their comfort and they sent it in to get it resolved, and that's how they did it. Now, a common myth is that they put a cap on this side, kind of like a steel cap, and they put it over the top of the existing pin. What they actually use is a stepped pin. So they press out the original pin and then they put in a new pin that has the original width all the way through to this side, but then it has a step to a slightly larger size on this side. And so it's not a cap that can come off on you or a cap that's pressed on. They actually put in an entirely different pin, and I believe they can do up to 2 sizes. So if this one were to wear out again, I think they can go up 1 more size before you would have to either get a new lock side or a new blade, depending on what's kind of causing the issue. As you can see on this one doesn't have that. This just has the original size pins. But what I'm going to do is do a little experiment where we're going to demonstrate exactly how putting in that larger step pin will affect the lockup. So if you can take a mental note of where this is, what is that, like 25%? If we take something even as thin as kind of this thick, this is a sticker, so it's kind of thicker than maybe standard paper, but it's not cardboard or anything. If we take this and just slide it in between that stop pin, you can see how it won't even lock up. It literally will not lock up if you put this much paper, and this is even if I press it back and really kind of get it to seat, then you can get it to engage just a little tiny bit. If I take something even thinner, I think it's thinner. We'll take this piece of plastic on a baggie. Let's see what this does. I'm kind of experimenting here. So if I do the baggie, it does lock up. And look how early it is. See how little amount of material to get this thing? If I pull back on the blade a lot and really compress that plastic, I get a little bit more. But the second I remove this plastic, now all of a sudden we're back to 25% lockup. So it takes very little to get that effect. So to me, that indicates that this lock bar was probably pretty far over. It potentially could have been touching this G10 or dang near close, because you can see here, I mean, this lockup isn't super early. It's not like it's all the way over here. So even after stepping up this pin, it still wasn't completely reset. So kind of an interesting thing on how Strider fixes lockup issues and lock wear. It's actually one of the kind of cool things because, you know, in this case, it was a bit of a bummer, right? Because a knife, I've never seen a knife get a stepped up pin that was new, right? It's only been knives that have been used hard. And you can see this knife is used, it's not new, it's been around a long time, and yet it's got original pins and still has early lockup. So there was definitely something off when this was manufactured that caused that issue. And rather than scrapping the blade and starting over, or scrapping the lock side and starting over, they just threw that stepped-in pin there. But it's kind of cool because it means you can easily allow Striders to kind of wear in, mate lock faces, right? So that they kind of really become one unit. And then if it wears in too far, you just throw on a new stop pin and it fixes it right away. Now, one thing I am curious about on these new M Striders that use these smaller kind of pins, I'm curious to see how they fix lockup issues with these. If they do a similar step-up thing, where it's the exact same process, where they have a step-in pin they slide in, or if they do something else. I don't know. I've never seen one of the newer Striders have that issue resolved. I'm sure it's happened. I've just never seen anyone post videos or pictures on it or anything like that. So, all right, guys, just a cool kind of interesting thing about Strider knives, especially with this old school knife, to get a stepped up pin like that being so new. Let me know down below. What do you think of that? Is that cool or is that dumb? Let me know. Talk to you guys later.